Frieren, Beyond Journey's End, has done the impossible, toppling Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood from the top of the MyAnimeList. Let us explore how. But first, a little clarification. This is not the first time that some anime has dethroned FMA Brotherhood, but this is the first time an anime has held it for more than a week. Frieren has been there for about 4 months now, marking it for greatness. To connect with an audience emotionally, stories need to show characters overcoming obstacles to fulfill their intentions. Malaikotai Valiban did not do this and failed to connect with the audience. Frieren also does away with these elements but still manages to fully engage with the audience. So much so that all kinds of Frieren fan art has taken over the internet. Instead of intentions and obstacles, Frieren uses promises and payoffs to structure the story. To be honest, intentions and obstacles are a subset of promises and payoffs, with a slight shift in emphasis. In Frieren, some promises have multi episode arcs, but most episodes start with a promise and deliver on it by the end. The delivery of the promise is never really in doubt. Once again, we are dealing with overpowered characters, be it Frieren, Fern, or Stark. Usually, the payoff is the promised action actually happening. For example, Gandalf makes a promise,
Look to my coming, at first light on the 5th day. At dawn, look to the east.
and then his arrival with the fifth dawn is the payoff. Kichiro Saito does something far more interesting. The payoff is not the action, but the why behind it. When a promise is fulfilled, you learn something about the character. That is the true payoff. For example, Frieren had missed seeing the sunrise with the hero's team and did not care much about it. 80 odd years later, she sees the sunrise with her new team and is utterly underwhelmed. But then sees how happy her companion is and realizes that the real joy comes from doing something together. The companions, the hero Himmel, the warrior Eisen, the priest Heiter, and of course the mage. Frieren, after all, comes to us in the garb of a fantasy adventure. It has to have a D&D style team. The story starts 50 years after the hero's journey has been completed. The hero dies in the very first episode, and unlike in the legendary hero is dead, the hero stays dead. Of late, anime have been cheating us by presenting an interesting premise, playing it out in the prologue, and then feeding us the same old troopy garbage. Frieren does not do that. The death of Himmel is a distant loss, and we see the long lived elf live with it over the 28 episode runtime.
Sayonara.
Since the hero dies in the first episode, you would think the author would not have the time to build the bonds between the characters, as we do not see them struggle in combat or overcome stressful situations or even talk to each other in the dull moments. How would we ever understand the character dynamics? We understand them beautifully, actually. Kichiro Saito does not need over 15 minutes to establish it all. The first time we meet Frieren, she is lost in a book, the book acting as a barrier keeping her away from all. Himmel calls out to her and she rises into the frame next to him. In the next few minutes, we realize that the hero and his companions act as an interface between Frieren and the world. We also see Himmel next to Frieren in most of these early shots, letting us know that theirs is a special bond. Also, within the first 3 minutes, a promise is made that the hero will die much before Frieren does.
The red line of death.
We learn how insignificant 10 years are compared to the long lives of elves. Frieren has already lived for over 1,000 years. Within the next 4 minutes, another promise is made to see the next meteor shower from a much better location. The next shower is in 50 years. Frieren makes the promise. Himmel chuckles, sees how sincere she is, and just agrees with her. We realize it is a death flag. We know this promise will not be kept. As the 50 years sweep us by, we are afraid of the heartbreak that awaits our elf friend. We know Himmel would be dead by then, maybe killed by a stray demon, dead saving the village. Or he would die thanks to that evil aura horn without ever meeting Frieren again. But Frieren is not such a lazy show. When she returns, she does meet the whole team. Himmel has aged but is still around, and the companions set out for another adventure to see the meteor shower from a much better spot. When the promise is delivered upon, the payoff is not the meteor shower itself, but everything that we learned about the hero's party, the party we will never see again. The hero dies in peace. There is no villain Frieren can take her anger out on. She realizes she did not get to spend enough time with him. Per usual, we realize how important some people are only after we cannot visit them anymore. Per usual, nothing changes after a loved one dies. Life keeps on keeping on. Frieren still does what she was doing before, roams around the world collecting spells. But there is just a little wrinkle. She wants to visit the place where the dead are, to see her friend for a last time and say a proper goodbye. And this happens about 28 years after the hero dies. And as you would have guessed, she is going to need a team for this adventure. The first member of Frieren's team is another mage, the foster child of the priest of the original and Frieren's only student, Fern. Frieren may be overpowered, but she knows when her team is lopsided and knows her own weakness. She cannot attack quickly, and she is too practical in her approach to magic. She will never deliver something truly imaginative. So they need a tank who can give her the time to launch. And yes, you guessed it, she picks the foster son of the OG warrior. Down the line, they realize their team is still lopsided and pick a priest. But that is not what the team truly lacked. The team truly lacks a hero, someone like Himmel. Don't get me wrong, Zane is a great role model, one of the best you have ever seen in an anime. But he's no hero. This lack of a hero is a masterstroke that never lets you forget that the hero is truly gone, gone forever. Even if you don't see the hero's team, you do see Frieren's team grow. Frieren is over 1,000 years old and did not want to worry about things at human timescales. She is only now learning to understand humans. The other two permanent team members are too young to have an understanding of human nature. It is endearing to see them grow. They start out not liking each other, and as they learn to work together, they also learn to live with each other's flaws. With time, love blossoms. Slowly, patiently. One of the reasons anime fans ship so very many couples is because anime rarely invests in building romance. Anyone can end up with anyone because love happens in one moment. It comes as a sudden epiphany. Not here. We see it develop through countless interactions. We see it before they do, and we understand.
Mm. Mm.
As the story progresses, we learn not only about Frieren's team, but also about the hero's team. This happens through some of the best executed flashbacks in any medium ever. The flashbacks aren't mere glimpses into the past. They are bridges connecting the emotional landscapes of our characters across the chasms of time. This means we get fragments of the past that we piece together to get the complete picture of what happened 80 odd years back. We also witness the layers of Frieren and her companions' relationships unfold, revealing depth of character and motivation that the linear present cannot capture. They showcase the growth of Frieren herself, once distant and detached. Through her reflections on the past, we see her evolve, learning the value of her fleeting human connections and the weight of her near immortal existence. The brilliance of Frieren Beyond Journey's End lies in its ability to weave these flashbacks seamlessly into a narrative, creating a tapestry that is as rich in emotion as it is in story. Each flashback is a thread, coloring the present with the hues of the past, and together they form a story that is both haunting and beautiful. Sometimes we use the past to understand the present. At others, we use the present to piece together what happened in the past. For example, the full meaning of flashback conversation between Frieren and Eisen about Stark can only be understood based on Frieren's reaction to Stark's actions in the present. Ultimately, what sets Frieren Beyond Journey's End apart is its pacing. It is a slice of life drama masquerading as a fantasy adventure. It is not that it does not do everything that you expect from the later. It even has an exama, but that it never forgets what it is. The brilliant pacing that stops to look at the present, enjoys each moment for what it is never abandoned. There never is a ticking time bomb that wants to distract you from the why and simply focus on the what. And the brilliant soundscape design by Evan Cole only deepens the immersion. A must watch.
Like, share, high five, subscribe, let our channel thrive.